morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we've got really big news. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, the pre-release promos for Obsidian Flames have gone and been revealed. What's really interesting, though, is for the first time that I can remember, and it's been a very long time if it's happened before, none of these cards have been revealed in Japanese, which means not only do we have all of the pre-release promos to have a talk about from Obsidian Flames, which is awesome, but we don't even have the regular artwork of these cards. We have no idea what the regular art looks like, we've never seen these before, so it's not just, hey, these are the alternate arts of cards we've seen and let's see which ones are better. It's let's reveal these 4 cards that we've never seen before. And we're going to rank them as we tend to do, and the ranking is weird here, because they're all kind of interesting, and they've all got significant downsides. But I'm going to start off at number 4 with Toga Kiss. Now, part of this is me putting Toga Kiss at number 4, because I usually, in my pre-release kit, get the 4th best promo, the one that I put at number 4, and Toga Kiss is Okacheke artwork, so I'm trying to tempt fate and get the Toga Kiss. This is the first Okacheke pre-release since the Finian that came around in Silver Tempest, which I am well aware is not actually that long ago. We're talking 3 sets back, but anytime I can get an Okacheke pre-release promo, I am absolutely loving it. Now, in terms of the card here, it is a stage 2, and that's the big downside. The free retreat is awesome. The fact that you can, for 2 energy, move an energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench while doing 110 is pretty good. But the ability here is the real selling point. Precious Gift. I know, we never look at cards first in English. I don't even need to do any translation. Once at the end of your turn, after you attack, you may use this ability, draw cards until you have 8 cards in your hand. And look, this is a phenomenal ability. This is an absolutely phenomenal ability, and it may well end up that this being put at number 4 on my list here looks insulting in a few months' time. I would be totally okay with that, because this is a very, very, very good ability. But it's on a stage 2. And that's the big problem. Is anybody going to be teching this into a deck as a stage 2 to use this ability? The answer might well be no. And the thing is, we've got a bad version of this at the moment. We've got the Venusaur from Pokemon Go. Same ability, but it's on a basic, not a stage 2. It draws until you've got 4 cards in hand, and nobody plays it. That's a lie. It gets seen a little bit here and there. Generally doesn't see a huge amount of play. Obviously, there are decks around like the Hisui and Arcanine, which I'm a big fan of, that relies on you having no cards in hand, and having a Toga Kiss on board to draw until you get 8 cards in hand would be amazing. But is anybody realistically going to be doing this? Probably not. And, we've seen Gift Energy see a bunch of play lately. Draws until you got 7 cards in hand after the Pokemon is attached to who gets KO'd. But I think the big difference here is that Gift Energy is just an energy you attack and then you go. This being a stage 2 is a problem. I love this ability. I think it's great, and starting your turn with 8 cards in hand is massive. But the fact that it's a stage 2 is a big problem, and I'm putting it in at number 4. Although, while we're here, can we just check the Okacheke artwork for a moment? I love this. Now, in at number 3, we've got the Palafin, and yes, this is the first ever Palafin card. We've never seen Palafin before. Now we have, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have. Now, in terms of the attack here, although I should say 150 on a stage 1 is really quite good. Single energy, 30 damage, plus 30 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Yeah, this is cool. On a basic. This is literally Landorus EX's attack. And Landorus EX's attack was phenomenal, but there are several things that make Landorus way better than this. Firstly, Landorus was a basic. Secondly, at the time, HP was much, much, much lower. And thirdly, fighting was a great weakness to hit at the time, as well as there being some 30 HP basic Pokemon that saw play, and that all came together to make Landorus amazing. This is not that, ladies and gentlemen. This is not even close. So sorry, ain't gonna work, ladies and gentlemen. Ain't gonna work. But a second attack is really interesting. 2 water energy, Justice Kick, 210 damage. If this Pokemon didn't move from the bench to the active spot this turn, this attack does nothing. And this is another attack that we've basically seen before. Does everybody remember Golisopod? It's not the only one we've seen, but Golisopod's the first one that came to mind. I'm using Golisopod. Golisopod for a single energy. If it became active this turn, it did 120, otherwise it did 30. It was great. This is 210. 210 nominally is 10 away from the magic number to KO Pokemon V, but that's really not a big problem because we can, well, you can do the extra 10. The problem is the 2 energy. If this was a single energy attack, this would probably be number 1 on the list. I would absolutely adore it. But the 2 energy is awkward. Sure, you can use it in a Baxcalibur deck. You can absolutely use it in a Baxcalibur deck. But the problem with that is that you've got to muck about getting it in a Baxcalibur deck. And it's a stage 1, you're going to be adding to a stage 2. That's a little bit of a problem. There are ways to accelerate the energy that they're just not good enough, basically. You know, you can use Frostlass. That will legitimately work. Evolve into Frostlass, off you go. But that's kind of a one-shot energy acceleration, and it's just not good enough, ladies and gentlemen. It's just not good enough. It makes me a little bit sad because I love it. But yeah, the second energy here is going to be a little bit of a problem. Now, in at number 2, I'm going to... Oh, it's so awkward. I'm going to go for Morile. Oh, no, I'm going to go for Morile. Look, 1 and 2 are better than 3 and 4. But you could switch 3 and 4 around. You could switch 1 and 2 around. I'm putting Morile at number 2. It's got the abilities... the free energy 90, nobody cares. That's terrible. It's got the ability Special Eater. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may discard a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. This is phenomenal. This is a ridiculously good ability. This is absolutely great. But we don't have Scoop Up Net anymore. If we had Scoop Up Net, this would be number 1 on the list. Yes, this is a theme, incidentally, with these pre-release promos, all right? There is a real theme going on. If we had, this would be number 1. If Toga Kiss was a stage 1, it'd be number 1 on the list. If Palafin was for a single energy, it would be number 1 on the list. If this was in a format with Scoop Up Net, it would be number 1 on the list. And I mean, incidentally, I mean all of these things sincerely. That is not the case here for any of them. That's what I meant at the start when I said massive downsides. It's still great, but it's a one-shot deal. Think about Hawlucha from Scarlet and Violet. Hawlucha is great, but it is nowhere near as good as Galarian Zigzagoon. And sure, Galarian Zigzagoon let you drop damage onto the active, but Hawlucha lets you drop a damage onto each of 2 bench Pokemon, which is really, really good. But the real difference between Hawlucha and Galarian Zigzagoon is that Galarian Zigzagoon had Scoop Up Net, so you could reuse it over and over again. That's not the case here. And it really is as simple as that. Although, fun little side note, do remember Hawlucha was also a pre-release promo, so I kind of love that these are very similar kind of Pokemon in that way, and they both get pre-release promos. That makes me kind of happy. This is a really good ability, but you're going to play it to the bench, and then it's going to sit there, and I'm not sure if using it once is always going to be enough. Sometimes it will be, just not always, and that's a little bit of a problem for me. Sorry. And that means in at number 1, we've got Cleffa. I love Cleffa. Anybody that has been playing this game for any length of time loves Cleffa. Now, interestingly enough, this is the first Cleffa, I'm not talking about the tag team. This is the first, I'm not talking about the reprint in Celebrations. This is the first actual Cleffa that we have had since Unbroken Bonds, and Unbroken Bonds was many, many years ago. We saw Unbroken Bonds being released in 2019. That was 4 years ago. We have not had baby Pokemon, actual baby Pokemon, for a while now. And this is what we would expect. 0 energy, and that's interesting because up till now it's only been Hisuian and Paldean Pokemon that have had free attacks. Now this is actually a baby, it's a regular Pokemon, although a baby. These can have free attacks as well. Draw until you have 7 cards in your hand. Okay, fine, we kind of expect it to be shuffle draw, but still. Here's the thing though. If we look at the amazing Cleffa, like the Neo Genesis one that was reprinted in Celebrations, shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw 7 cards. But the baby rule, if this baby Pokemon is your active Pokemon and your opponent tries to attack, your opponent flips a coin. If tails, your opponent's turn ends without an attack. That's what made it so good. The Cleffa from Heart Gold Soul Silver. You shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 6 cards, but then you go to sleep. And as long as you're asleep, you prevent all damage done to Cleffa by attacks. Those 2 Cleffa, part of the reason they were so good is because you often didn't give up a prize. Here you will almost certainly be giving up a prize. In a lot of matchups, you will be giving up a prize to use this. But I still think this is the best of the pre-release promos. Partly, it's a basic, and that's absolutely huge, because it means it can be teched into any deck really easily. Partly, it's the fact that it's 0 energy, and that's actually absolutely huge, because remember, 0 energy means that you can use your energy attachment for the turn to retreat whatever's in the active, and then you can still attack because you don't need the energy to use the attack. Do not sleep on that. That is a very, very, very big deal. I love this, ladies and gentlemen. This is awesome. And then it just gets you out of bad starts. Now, there will be some matchups I have to set up a little bit, and against the matchups I have to set up a little bit, you will get a couple of turns of this. You will get a couple of turns of doing this, and you will set up nicely. Against decks with any kind of early game aggression, you'll get this once and you'll give up a prize for doing so. But if this helps you set up at the cost of 1 prize card, rather than not setting up and you losing the game, I think that's worth it, honestly. I honestly think that's worth it. So look, that's where we are. I think this is awesome. I think this is going to absolutely win games, and I think it's going to help a lot of decks set up. It is not as good as the one from Neo Genesis or Heart Gold Soul Silver, because it doesn't have the baby rule / Pokebody that keeps it alive turn after turn. It is not the same card as them. That's a huge difference. But I still think it's the best of all of them. All of these could easily have been number 1 with just a small change, but they don't have that small change, so here's the list. What's huge here, first ever Palafin, first baby Pokemon in 4 years, and the first time we've actually seen these pre-release cards before the regulars have been revealed in Japan. All of this is awesome. I'm delighted, but now it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these cards you want. Tell me which ones you're excited by. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, all kinds of fun things, and get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Uncle Pokepeter. This is the first video I think I've made since they are a Patreon, so shout out to them for joining, and yeah, it's a good group over here. Come join us, we have fun. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.